What is up, everybody? Welcome to Party Up and Broad. Today, we are counting down the top 10 wide receivers in the 2024 NFL Draft, guys. If you know anything about the draft, this class is absolutely loaded, full of first-round potential guys. We're breaking it all down. Joining me, as always, he is Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA on X. What's up, Ryan?
Not much, man. This has been the position I think we've both been looking forward to. There's so much talent, like 1 through 10. Honestly, you could make a case that all 10 could be first rounders. Honestly,
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's stacked. We're gonna get down and dirty into all these guys. Could Howie Roseman look at a wide receiver in the top 3 rounds? You look at the needs on defense, but you also saw a performance against the Tampa Bay Bucks where outside of AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, it was evidently clear there's not a lot of depth.
yeah, for sure. It's once you get past, Smitty. Quez Watkins. I think we can all agree the experiment is over. Julio Jones, let's put him out to pasture. And honestly, who knows another wide receiver on this team? To be perfectly honest, come on, there's nobody. So, yeah, it would help to have a little bit of depth. And yeah, Howie loves taking wide receivers, so it's certainly on the table.
Yeah, let's jump right into this thing as we get ready for football Sunday here. Number one, no surprise, Marvin Harrison Jr. Lead us off, Ryan.
Yeah, listen, I think we all know the name. Certainly his famous father lit up the NFL with the Indianapolis Colts. And I fully expect his son, Marvin Harrison Jr., to do the same. This guy is an absolute machine. 2 straight years of 1,200 yards, 14 touchdowns. I mean, the man literally didn't score a touchdown in only 2 of his games this year. And that was very early on in the year. He absolutely is just a dominant football player. He not only is he just uber productive, but just the skill set alone. He is an elite athlete. He has such, I would call them kind of gentle hands, where the ball just kind of, it almost just seems like it wants to go into his hands. He just has an absolute ability. Once he gets his hands on it, he's coming down with a catch, no matter what he needs to do. Some of the highlights on him are unreal. The circus catches, acrobatic catches, toe taps and the like. So not only does he have that kind of elite kind of flexibility and ability to kind of make those super hard catches, but he just can break a tackle at will. He just has this drive to be better, drive to get into the end zone. And you can see that effort and that, competitiveness in his motions. Obviously, like I said, he comes from great stock with his dad. And just, it clearly, I don't know necessarily the relationship, that they truly had, but clearly his father bred him to become an elite wide receiver. He just really has one of the most complete skill sets that I have seen in all my years of watching wide receivers come into the NFL. And we were just talking about previously, before we got on, I think this might be the most hyped wide receiver since Larry Fitzgerald. Larry came in winning every single award and just, was the wide receiver in college football. And that is Marvin Harrison. I think he has more hype than Calvin Johnson even coming into the NFL draft. And I would be shocked if he went outside of the top 4, honestly. Shocked.
Yeah. Look, here's a poll I ran several weeks ago, and Marvin Harrison Jr. by far the number 1 prospect in the draft, according to votes. 79% Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best prospect in the draft. 14% Caleb Williams. He, like you said, he's the most sure thing in this draft without a doubt. Yeah. He's a surefire stud. We already have some comments here. David says, I'm curious how you see it. It's not about talent, team, and system matter. I understand you can't really factor that in, but because the draft hasn't happened yet, we know Marvin Harrison Jr. is a physical freak, but how polished is his route running? Any thoughts on that, Ryan?
Yeah, listen, I actually really like his route running. I think, yes, if you had to kind of turn to something about Marvin to kind of say, hey, this is his kind of weakness. Yeah, I mean, I suppose you could go that route, but I think for him, as far as weakness goes, I would say being a little bit more physical, might be kind of something that he needs to work on, bulking up a little bit to kind of help, get off a press. Sometimes his cuts aren't as clean as they should be, when running his routes. So maybe that's what you're kind of hinting at. But yeah, and again, the only other thing I would say is maybe ball security. I mean, he doesn't necessarily have a problem, but it could be better. We're literally talking about somebody that you have to go out and find something to talk bad about him.
Yeah,
And
I think he's clean. I think it's smooth. I think it's fine. I'm
yeah,
not worried about his route running whatsoever.
yeah.
I think he's a solid route runner on all three levels. That's the thing about Marvin Harrison Jr. that makes him special. Like he's pretty much uh, good to great in pretty much every facet.
Mm,
He's just a very balanced, clean prospect and a surefire star in the NFL.
yeah.
Thanks for the comment. Let's roll on to number 2, my guy, as I've been all season long, if you've been following
Sure.
along. Roma Dunze out of Washington. He just has an amazing frame. He has a great wingspan, one of the biggest catch radiuses in the wide receiver class. He's an elite route runner, a true technician of the route tree. He can sell his routes with fluid change of direction hips and the ability to create separation from day one at the next level. Again, great body control. He's you look at his stats, man, they're crazy. In 2022, when targeted, he had a QB rating of 124.9. In 2023, when targeted, a quarterback rating of 118.3. This is a guy that has shown up to be clutch, and clutch every single time they called up his number in big situations this season. Um, you know, uh, when you get to kind of weaknesses, I guess he's not as explosive as some of the prospects we're going to be talking about today. Like he's a strong contested catch weapon, but he's not really a burner. Scouts will say like he doesn't have a lot of pop when changing directions. I find that really hard to believe because we saw him just so effortlessly get wide open against college DBs all season long. The last 2 years, really. I'm really interested to see how he looks at the upcoming NFL scouting combine in this area. I just think this guy's a star. He's number 5 on my big board. And just as I was all college football season, I am super high on Rome Odunze, man. And I ran a poll here, like who is the number 2 wide receiver in this class? And it's definitely up for debate. Of course it's up for debate. But so far, Rome Odunze is not getting the love I thought he would.
Really?
It's pretty much Malik Neighbors by a good margin. I'm going to share my screen. Malik Neighbors getting 52% of
Wow.
the vote for number 2, and Rome Odunze at 32%. But Rome Odunze, again, like every time Washington in a big situation this year in the fourth quarter, third and short, third and long, they just threw it up to Rome Odunze back shoulder, and he pretty much delivered every time. He's an impressive player. I think he's got Pro Bowl potential in the NFL, man. He's awesome. He's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites.
I love Dunze too, man. He's such a fun watch.
Agreed. Yeah, no, the combination of Adunze and Penix was magical this year. Obviously, Washington made it, to the national championship game, and on the backs of those two. And Adunze was just an elite receiver for that team, and
Mhm.
yeah, he was so fun to watch. Honestly, for me, I'm right with you. He is my clear cut number 2.
Nice.
And listen, yeah, you kind of have arguments. Obviously, there's a lot. still to come before the draft. But yeah, I'd be shocked if Odunze kind of slipped a little behind, the Malik Neighbors and then some of the other guys we're going to be talking about here in a second.
Absolutely. Let's roll on to number 3, and that is Malik Neighbors out of LSU. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, listen, LSU, along with Neighbors, also had Brian Thompson, who we're going to be talking about in a little bit. But the fact that they had those two guys, he is just magical out there, honestly. And for me, he's really the only one that I feel like could fight Rome for the number 2 spot. Dude's an absolute elite athlete, explosive route runner. And he just seems to kind of have this ability to kind of shift gears, which really just makes it a nightmare for defensive backs. Great ball skills, good hands, great tracking ability, and he's definitely a physical receiver. He seems to be able to excel kind of on the outside and the slot, and seems to be able to kind of read and understand the coverages. So he's able to kind of, especially in zone, kind of slip in, in between the pockets of those zones. And that's served him really well, throughout his career. But yeah, I think, his ability to run and catch, he has the quickness. He has a pretty strong lower half, which kind of makes it, difficult for people to kind of come up and solo tackle. You kind of need a whole team to kind of get him down at times. And I think a lot of people I've seen the comparison to he has a little Debo Samuel kind of elements to his game, which certainly is high praise considering the versatility that Debo has. But yeah, honestly, he is such a great receiver, and was certainly pivotal for that LSU squad, and his quarterback as well, who obviously won the Heisman. So, but yeah, listen, he certainly tends to, maybe doesn't really get separation like he should. Again, I guess there's kind of this when you see him, you see the skills that he has, and you see him up against certain DBs. It seems like, I don't know. It almost just seems like you're questioning why he doesn't have the separation that he should. So I'm not sure what that is. I've seen it in a couple of uh, games where I was watching, and just it was like, he is so much faster than this guy. Why is he not pulling away? Why is he not getting past? So something that he certainly needs to kind of, I guess, figure out what the reasoning is and why that is. But yeah, he's a guy that I think is pretty well rounded, very versatile, and will easily be should be a top 15 pick in the NFL draft for sure. Obviously.
I like the Debo Samuel comp.
Yeah, like not it's not apples to apples. It's you see the elements a little bit.
Yeah, he was about 60-40 slot versus boundary at LSU. So I really like that versatility. A guy that can play in a lot of different facets, and
Yeah.
like the comment here, like he can take a slant on the house to the house. There's a guy that can take those short to intermediate throws, and he's a big yak guy and take it all the way to the end zone. Man, he's a great prospect. I'm low key hoping he falls to like the Cardinals' second pick, and you get like Caleb Williams and like Malik Williams or something, or like some combination of I don't know what that, or the Bears or something. That'd be really fun.
Yeah, no, agreed. Just kind of see him with that combination would be really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's roll on to our number 4 wide receiver in the class, and that is his teammate, Brian Thomas Jr. This guy is so underrated. He no longer going to be in the shadow of Malik Neighbors. Just a juiced up 6'4" wide receiver prospect who has serious upside as a vertical threat and yards after the catch weapon, man. His athleticism just immediately pops off film. He explodes off the line of scrimmage. He's got crazy speed and ball tracking ability. One of the best downfield threats in this class, bar none. He's really fun when you watch the tape, man. When you get to areas to improve, as a route runner, Brian Thomas Jr. It's a bit of a mixed bag. There are things he can get better at. He's at his best with those like one cut routes. He's really good in the middle of the field. He's solid on digs and slants, but when he struggles are those like coming back to the quarterback kind of routes, like the curls and the comebacks. They can definitely get better, but look at that size, man. These guys don't come off trees, man. They're hard to find, and I think this guy has big play potential to be a major weapon in the NFL. I see this guy as a day one starting X vertical receiver in the NFL. He's probably going to be best as like a number two guy, maybe sliding into a situation where a team already has a number one, and he can kind of slowly develop because he definitely needs to kind of refine his technique and uh, definitely would benefit from adding weight. But the sky's the limit for Brian Thomas Jr. I've got a round one grade on him. I would not be surprised if he's like selected right after or right around Malik Neighbors. He's that good of a prospect. So that's a little bit on Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah, like I said, the combination of the two of them was it's crazy to think about. You know that that LSU squad wasn't better in the standings for some reason, but perhaps their defense has to that. But anyway.
David says Xavier Legette is more like Debo to me. He's bigger and more explosive. We will be getting to Xavier Legette very, very soon. I promise you, David.
Yeah.
But appreciate the comments, man. We'll be talking about him very soon. They said DK Metcalf only has straight line speed. The experts were way off on that assessment. Absolutely. Rolling on to our 1, 2, 3, 4 number 5 prospect, another physical freak. He is Keon Coleman out of Florida State. Kind of polarizing. Some people are off on him. Some people are really high on him. Tell us about Keon Coleman.
Yeah, listen, Florida State was a fun team to watch offensively. With Travis Jordan and Keon here. Keon honestly is, I would say, you look at the NFL receiver and man, is he right in line physically? I mean, he's 6'4", with 215, 220, depending on what you look at. But he is just a great. He has great size, good frame, as they say. But he's also just very athletic, and you kind of look at him, you're kind of surprised as far as somebody that has such great size can be so athletic. He has really good acceleration coming off the line, and really does kind of have a really nice kind of a break gear. Like when he's in his break and kind of gets up, he has this flash of speed that really is certainly something to watch. He seems to be very intelligent, knowing exactly what he's going up against defensively. Especially zone. He is kind of just a magician of being able to find those open pockets, and then has the absolute timing and body control to kind of get to that next level and break some of these long runs. But as I said, great threat after the catch, and really seems to out physical and overpower defensive backs when needed. So certainly that's something that'll prove him really well in the next level. I will say some of the weaknesses, he could be a little bit crisper on his routes. Certainly needs to kind of help himself with his natural abilities to get more separation. I feel like that's something that I see a lot of weakness when it comes to some of the reports on Keon is he has the skills, he has the physical gifts, there's just another gear that he just needs to kind of get to, especially when it comes to route running and getting his separation. Not a great blocker, run blocker, even though, again, he is a very physical receiver and that has the size. So I feel like that'll, with some coaching and hitting the weight room a little bit, that'll be kind of a non-issue, I would assume, in the next level. So, but yeah, Keon Coleman was certainly made Florida State, really, really fun to watch, and certainly will be kind of, I would say, probably in the 20s range. Like I said, I honestly could see all 10 of these guys that we're talking about be first rounders. I just don't think necessarily need will make that happen. But Keon Coleman for sure should be kind of the mid to late first round for sure.
Yeah. David says, I'm one of those guys on the fence with Coleman. I just want to say, just such a fun season with Jordan Travis and that Florida State team. They were my pick to go all the way this year. And when Travis went down, that really sucked.
Yeah, that kind of ruined that, didn't it?
It but that trio of Travis and Coleman and Johnny Wilson, that was amazing. Yeah, the physical gifts just pop. He's one of the best contested catch guys in this draft. Just raw, just needs to grow and develop. And, it is worth noting that he did struggle against Nate Wiggins this year against Clemson. So there is tape out there of Keon Coleman struggling against good competition. Don't look at the surface stats when he played Clemson. When you look at the numbers, I don't have them off the top of my head. I forget. But Nate Wiggins did hold him pretty well in that one.
I mean, that's all fairness, Wiggins, might be the first corner off the board. So
I agree.
That's not the worst, necessarily the worst thing to say. But
yeah, he's my number two. But yeah, Keon Coleman's a terrific prospect for sure. Mark Henry Jr. goes, wow, Thomas at number 4. That's going to be a Dibes, my guy. It could be. I'm pretty sure I don't have my big board on me. He's probably top 15 on my big board. That's how high on him I am. Let's roll on to number 6, and that is Xavier Legette. Just such a fun prospect, man. One of the biggest risers of this season. He was a late bloomer. But you look at the film, he's got an NFL-ready frame, amazing ball skills. South Carolina lined him up all over the football field. He was primarily a boundary receiver with like vertical responsibilities, but he can really hurt you in so many different ways. This is a guy with just a strong physical frame that allows him to just bully people in yards after the catch situations. You look at him as a run blocker, man. He's physically imposing, so he's got plus run blocking in that sense. Just a devastating contested catch player. He's got a massive frame, really good hands, just amazing at adjusting to the ball. Great body control. He only had 2 drops on 97 targets in 2023, and that ability at that size with that play strength gives this guy some just crazy upside to be a true wide receiver 1. When you get to weaknesses, it's all about refinement, man. It's all about just further developing his technique. He's not that skilled as some of these other guys that battling at the line of scrimmage. He kind of struggles sometimes to make himself friendly to quarterbacks. That shows up on timing routes or comeback routes. Running across the field, he needs to attack the ball a little bit better. But overall, I don't understand why Xavier Legette isn't being talked about enough as a first-round talent. Like some mocks I have seen have him going like day 2, and I just straight up disagree with that. Like this guy's upside and physical foundation for a true number 1 receiver at the next level is a stone cold lock. He's just got an elite combination of height, weight, speed, athleticism. Like if this dude goes, I actually wrote this down in my notes, David. I hope you're watching. If this guy were to go to like a Shanahan type of system, like he would blow up.
Yeah.
He would just blow up. And I expect this guy to crush the NFL scouting combine and the draft process. I don't know if enough people know about Xavier Legette because he's impressive. He is straight impressive. So that's our number 6, and that's how deep this wide receiver
Yeah.
class is.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I've kind of seen him as you said, kind of sneaking into the first or end of set. I fully believe he is first round, for sure. And I think yeah, yeah, that's actually probably a smart move. But yeah, I think you nailed it right on the head. I think once the combine and that whole process happens, I think he's gonna lock himself into a first round
Yeah,
pick
for
for
sure.
sure. Somebody late in the first round who's already a really good team is gonna get themselves even better offensively for
Yeah.
sure with Leggett.
Yeah. David says, I'm targeting Leggett in every one of my fantasy football leagues. Mark Henry Jr. says, Keon at 4, Leggett at number 5. Yeah, we're pretty close, man. Pretty close.
Thomas pushed to 6, I guess.
Yeah, I wonder who's your 6, Mark. Let us know. And if Leggett gets drafted in the second round, I'll walk home from the NFL draft.
Okay.
All right, let's roll on to, I think we're at number 7, right?
That's correct. 7.
Number 7, it is Adonai Mitchell or AD Mitchell out of Texas, man. Another big time riser during the 2023 season.
Yeah, no, it's time to talk a little Texas football, which I have been very happy is back on the map for sure this year. Making the NFL, making the college football playoffs, and where I personally am going to be talking about their wide receivers here back to back. But first, we're going to start with Mitchell. This dude is tall, lean. But he is just absolutely just an athletic freak, honestly. He plays with such speed and acceleration, has great vision out there. Certainly, I don't think his numbers kind of matched his skill set, although I will say, he did end up getting 11 touchdowns and just over a little bit over 800 yards. But yeah, he certainly had himself some clutch games, that's for sure. Especially against Oklahoma State, Kansas State, and Kansas, all ranked opponents. But yeah, Mitchell is, like I said, he's kind of a lean, kind of skinny guy, if you will. Certainly, not, Devontae Smith skinny, but he certainly has the length and the height to really, really, get up, get to the high point the ball, and just really seems to kind of use that length, to get great separation. I mean, he's like kind of like a gazelle out there, long strides, but he's flexible, athletic. It certainly is. Something to see him run his routes, and while they, again, those long strides, I feel like they're very crisp. Um, but I will say, sometimes he's not. It didn't seem to be always on the same page with viewers. Seems that he does have a bit of an injury history, and there is some question marks there that he's going to certainly have to address in this draft process for sure. And I think he just needs to honestly be a little bit more efficient with his route running. Seems like he kind of maybe takes an extra step or use a little too much motion when he can just be quick and crisp. He just needs to be a little bit more consistent with that. But yeah, Mitchell, and I'll be talking about Worthy, his running mate there next. But yeah, it's a really good combination they had in Texas, and was one of the main reasons why Texas football was back in and in the national scene for sure.
Yeah, he is awesome, man. Just another player with upside to be a wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
We're at number 7 now, and it's crazy.
Yeah, I know, and yeah, I think I've seen him kind of early round two in a lot of mocks. But as I say, it's this draft process, as anybody knows, changes with the a flick of a hat, and I could easily see teams moving around and trying to get at this very deep class and try to get to these wide receivers before there is kind of a knockoff. And try to get one of these wide receivers to it's an offensive passing league, so
Yep.
better than to get tons of wide receivers on the board.
Philly special card says, should the Eagles draft any of these guys? I might be in the minority. I don't know, but I would say yes. Like, I think they need to be in discussion. I think this is the premium position in the draft. I think
Easily.
if there's not deep defensive targets on the board, and the board maybe hasn't fallen the way the Eagles expected, they could do a lot worse than taking some of these guys we just mentioned who should be available.
Yeah. No,
Especially in
and yeah, absolutely. And with the Eagles wide receivers, I mean, there's a lot of noise coming out right now. AJ Brown is, yeah, we're trying to vilify him as the next TO, and who knows what the real truth is there, and whatnot. So let's hope we don't run him out of town. And Smith is up for his 5th-year option, and up for an extension. So again, do we want to pay 2 wide receivers lots of money? Like,
yeah.
so there's factors down the line that how he's thinking about. So those, I feel like, are probably the most likely scenario of why we would draft a wide receiver in the first, one of the first 3 picks that we got.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be on the table.
Yeah, easily.
I'm very much defense at the top 3 picks, but
Linebacker. No, sorry.
things happen, in the draft. Things happen, and
For sure.
especially this next guy we're going to be talking about, I really like a lot. And you look at that game against the Bucks where AJ Brown didn't play, and outside of Devontae, who played terrific, they had nothing. They have a lot of just slop, and they need to start just like the defense. They need to add youth pretty much across the board. And the guy I'm talking about is Troy Franklin out of Oregon. Really great prospect. I think he's underrated. He's a downfield burner with speed. He can play in the slot. He can play on the outside. He has top end speed to really outrun anybody. But he's not just a speedster. He's got quick feet. He's a very strong route runner. He has a really good understanding of knowing how to attack and manipulate defensive backs. He's a really good separator off the line. He's really good at keeping defensive backs guessing. And he's not a great yak guy, and he doesn't really have elite explosiveness. But again, he has twitch. He has enough twitch and wiggle to win off the line. So he's lanky, which could present some issues. He's one of those like tall, lanky types, which means he often struggles sometimes to sink his hips, explode out of certain routes like curls and comebacks and digs. And that skinny frame could also impact his ability to win when the ball's in the air at the next level against more physical cornerbacks. But overall, like, his speed makes him just a really exciting prospect with really high end potential. I see this guy fitting best as a number 2 in vertical offense, primarily as an outside receiver. And I've got a round 2 grade on him. But there's absolutely a universe where Troy Franklin blows away the NFL scouting combine and makes him a first round selection. I think he's a very, very good prospect. That is number 8, right?
Number 8. Yeah, him and Bo Nix was something to watch. And we've been talking a lot about some of these Pac-12 wide receivers as we've had a bunch to talk about. But yeah, he's certainly one that was fun to watch. And yeah, I think, like I said, I think he probably will be a round 2 guy. But man, I'm telling you, I really could see any of these guys, or all of them, really sneak into the first round. I mean, you never know how teams trade and move in and out. And sneak in and want to try and grab one of these guys before they make it to the the early round 2 and some of the teams that are probably a little bit more in need of a wide receiver. So
Agreed. David chimes in and says, I call Troy Franklin Mini Moss because he's a home run hitter. I love it.
yeah, I like that.
Let's roll on to number 9 here. You got back-to-back Texas guys, man.
Yeah,
And then Xavier Worthy.
I actually, it's funny. I think when we were doing this show and we were talking a lot about the college game from week to week, man, I was very excited that Texas was back. I mean, I feel like certain schools out there, really help to kind of bring football fans back into college football, and for me, Texas was one of them. And it really starts with these 2 receivers, Mitchell, and now we're going to be talking about Xavier Worthy. Certainly a little bit smaller, skinnier than his counterpart, but that is only because this man is just absolute speed demon. It does not matter. This dude with the ball in his hands is a threat to score at any given moment. Just such a natural playmaker, but man, D-backs, D-backs really regretted giving him even an inch of separation. Not only is he just an amazing deep threat, but just a yak stud. He won. So not only that, but he also won All SEC punt returner back in 2022. So he has punt return certain skills as well to bring to the table. But his route running is very smooth. Seems to run with a balance and just a knowledge of the defense he's going up against, and really almost kind of, you can almost see like he kind of has this just obsession with beating his defensive backs and really just kind of making them look silly, and he does it quite often. So very versatile. Again, he's kind of a smaller frame, but man, that speed really does make up for it. But he again, kind of has that playmaking, athletic ability. But yeah, he's really good at working outside of the numbers, tracking the ball down, and really kind of you can see really as a student of the game does little things really well that really kind of help his game kind of to the next level. But I will say he does struggle a little bit against some zone coverage. Obviously, he's got to get a little bigger. But we've seen Devontae Smith. He's probably about the same, and seems like he's doing pretty good for himself, and is skinnier than ever. So it certainly can be done, but you'd like him to bulk up a little bit, get a little bit stronger, and you certainly worry about him going up against bigger defensive backs for sure. So didn't necessarily have a ton of stats, especially after his very impressive freshman campaign. But still, Worthy to me, I feel like he's one of my favorite later wide receivers. And this is a guy that, again, I feel like some team early in round 2 is going to help and get themselves an absolute home run threat, and just somebody that they can just put anywhere in the field, get him the ball, and get yourself a touchdown. I mean, that's just what he does.
Yeah. He's reportedly ran a 4.29 40-yard dash, which would make him one of the 4 fastest players in the NFL. So expect this guy to be oh my gosh, Detroit Lions just completely crushed Baker Mayfield. Sorry about that. My God.
Get him.
All right. Anyway, back to the show. David says Worthy in the right system is a game changer. I agree. We're at number 9, and let's round out our top 10 wide receivers. And number 10, Jalen Polk out of Washington, just a ball-winning number 2 wide receiver in the NFL. This is a guy who can dunk on defensive backs down the field and in the red zone. Some of the best hands in the class, I think. He only had 4 drops on 108 targets in 2023. That's not bad. And, this guy, I think, has X receiver potential at the next level. His ball skills and body control down the field are kind of the plus qualities you're talking about when you watch the film. When it comes to negatives, his speed is really good, but it's not elite compared to some of the guys we just talked about. Uh, he has suddenness at the stem, but I think inconsistency with his routes is definitely a thing. And he's not as flexible as some of these other, elite athletes in this class, in this top 10 that we've talked about. And then, just overall, I think this is a big, well-built wide receiver with versatility to align kind of in different situations. I think his bread and butter is going to be just using his size, length, and strength to attack, tough catches downfield in traffic in that intermediate area of the football field. He has shown the ability to generate separation against good competition this year, which is really good. And I think this guy probably comes off the board sometime round 2, round 3, and just yet another guy to know because, good size, big time threat downfield. Jalen Polk out of Washington.
Yeah. No. Again, the fact that he lived in Rome, Adunze's shadow, and I think when you look at in our rankings, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, etc. I think this is where the biggest gap for me seems to be, and I think that's going to show in the draft. Is I think after Worthy, I think there's probably going to be a little lull as far as the next wide receiver to be taken, which again, for all intents and purposes, should be Polk. But yeah, I could definitely still see him. Most likely, will fit into that bottom, mid to bottom of the second round. But again, I feel like wide receivers to me in this draft feels like it could be that position where it's just everybody wants to get their hands on somebody. The rush is on, and you're going to trade up. You're going to do whatever you got to do to get one of these young stud receivers to add to your team, because again, you cannot have any more wide receivers. You need more than what you got. So I could easily see that happening for sure. But yeah, I think we've have 2 or 3 squads where we had LSU had 2, Washington have 2, Texas have 2. I mean, that's something special to see in college football when you have high level wide receivers, 2 of them being at the same school and producing the way that they did.
I think we'll have to do like some sort of like NFL blitz draft with these rookies.
Right.
And we'll create our own team and have people vote who has like the best NFL blitz team of rookies. That'd be really fun. Godly Warrior says, I think Xavier Legette dominates, just depends on where he goes. Yeah, going to a team that gets the ball off fast and gets him into space, he will be lights out.
For sure.
And David says, Polk reminds me of Shakir on the Bills. I could be wrong. He's really good. And I as we wrap this up and get ready for Football Sunday here, we got to bring up some of these other names that are really solid prospects in their own right, because we're only doing top 10 with these position rankings, but I think there's going to be a lot of day 2 guys as well. Tez Walker out of North Carolina has crazy measurables. Another vertical threat. Keep an eye out for that guy. And there's some, the Eagles. If you're looking for like a mid to late round slot receiver, there's a few names that I'm going to throw out there that have been really fun watches. One is Ladd McConkey, a guy that can really get separation real quick. Malachi Corley is one of my favorite dudes. Western Kentucky, I think, really fun prospect to watch. Keep an eye out for Malachi Corley, and another guy is Jacob Cowing, another slot receiver out of Arizona that I think would be really fun at Midnight Green. So if you're looking for like a guy that can play in between AJ and Devontae, those are just a few names. But let's wrap this up. Ryan, final thoughts on the class? plugs. Tom
Yeah,
Jones.
I mean, listen, this as we said in the beginning, this is the deepest position in the NFL draft by far, and is a fun group too. And I feel like by the time the combine happens and pro days and etc., I feel like there could be some maneuvering around here. But yeah, I think as I said, I could see a lot of these wide receivers going. Yeah, appreciate it, David.
Thanks,
Uh,
David.
yeah, I could see a lot of these guys going in the first 50 picks for sure. In fact, I honestly might, again, if that's something to bet on, I'd probably do it. But
I would be shocked if we don't all 10 of those guys, if they're not drafted within the first uh, 30 or 40 picks, I'd be stunned.
yeah,
Stunned.
yeah, honestly, I mean, you're right. So, yeah, this is why this is such a fun group, and I think I'm glad that we kind of happened to wait till towards the end of our top tens here. I mean, we still have quarterback to do, which will certainly be a fun one. Running back to do.
Oh my god!
Oh boy,
Sorry.
yeah. And then tight end, which I'm certainly personally looking forward to as well. And again, I think all necessarily for the Eagles are concerned. I don't necessarily think we're looking at a quarterback. But you never know. Running back, we certainly could be. Tight end, we certainly could be. We should be anyway. But yeah, thank you guys. We appreciate everybody kind of coming along this journey with us as we dive into college football and the prospects. So stay with us. We got a couple more positions to go, and then we're going to do some more fun things, mock drafts, and maybe some Senior Bowl stuff. And yeah, I just this is the best time of year, honestly, talking draft and prospects and whatnot. So please do yourself a favor, get educated, head on over to Edge of Philly Sports YouTube page. That's the best spot to go. And just honestly, you could just roll through just hours upon hours upon hours of prospect videos that we have out there done by, well, I guess I'm pointing this way now, done by this guy over here. So this is the draft guru here. So I'm just happy to be along for the ride.
Man, what is it about just dropped interceptions in the playoffs so far? I don't understand what is going on right now. Just like literally
only been about 15 of them.
Oh my god, it's so frustrating.
I know.
All right, but thank you, Ryan. Thank you everyone for commenting. Thank you everyone for watching. Tons and tons of scouting reports on the channel, like over 100 now. We've crossed over 100. And yeah, there's going to be so much more coming between rankings and big boards. And, I'm going to be doing more specific things like top 5 slot receivers in the draft, top 5 3 technique, top 5 pass rushers, so I'm going to be a little more specific than just positional type of thing too. Top 5 dual threat quarterback. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I thought that would be really fun.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're doing next. We're like 2 weeks away from the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
So we probably should do a Senior Bowl preview, just like under the radar guys that I think would are about to blow up, because there were several of them last year. There always is a few that come out of, and that's especially true for quarterback, because I know we ran the poll and people actually wanted to do a quarterback position, but it's just a little too early. It's a little too early because guys like Aiden O'Connell, guys like Stetson Bennett, guys like guys that really made a name for themselves at the Senior Bowl and during the scouting combine and things like that, were not even on my rankings. And then shortly after that, were big time risers. So
we'll do what, running backs or tight ends next. We'll let the people decide, and then we'll do the quarterbacks last, so that way we have a little bit more time to kind of dive into it.
Yeah, quarterback's tough because like the 1 through 5 or 6 are pretty easy, and then 7, 8, 9, 10 are wide open. I have no idea. Like it goes off a cliff, and then you get to, because a lot of the guys returned.
Definitely messed a lot of things up for sure.
And then running back, is the variability in running back is crazy as well. Yeah. Like I don't know. Some of these times, most of the time, we come to a consensus with the top tens, but like that's a class that we might have to do our own
Mm.
because it's kind of what you want out of the running back. I think they're all kind of the same tier.
Sure. Yeah,
For the,
yeah,
all
I get that.
right, but
Yeah, we'll
anyway, I'm
figure it out.
rambling on. Guys, thank you everyone for watching. He is Ryan Reese. Go give him a follow on X at Philly Sports PSA. Go check out Philly Sports Alliance Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, you name it. I am Dives, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. We'll catch you on the next one. Make sure you subscribe. We'll be throwing out some more draft polls, and we've been doing a lot of those on the channel, voting and fun different things like that. And then we'll get into like prop bets and all type of things that I love to do as well.
Sure.
So thank you everyone for watching. We are Party on Broad. We'll catch you on the next one. Stay awesome, everyone.